Good evening and welcome. We're glad you could join us tonight for this open house for the East High School Virtual Academy. We're excited that the students, East High School students, will have the connection again with East High School in a virtual setting. So again, thank you for being with us tonight. And with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kirchner, who's going to introduce the people that are going to be talking tonight and running the virtual program here at East High School.
Hello, everybody. Like Mr. Mirich said, we're really excited to have a connection again with the students that have chosen to do virtual classes. And a couple of people are in the room that work really hard to make that happen and to help students and families be successful. This is Maura Jacobson. She's our Thunderbird Academy Director. And to her left is Mrs. Rail. It might be your right, depending on how the camera works, is Mrs. Kim Rail, and she's the counselor that works with all of the students in virtual courses. So if you'll bear with us for a moment, we will share a screen with you, and we'd like to talk to you just about a few key highlights about the East High School Virtual Academy and some expectations for teachers, students, and parents. We'll make sure that we share this file with everybody so that you have the contact information handy as well, but we wanted to make sure that everybody knew how to get in contact with some of these people so that you have a person that you can reach out to if you have issues or need assistance. And so I already introduced Ms. Jacobson, but she also works very closely with Jamie Buell, who's the Thunderbird Academy assistant. And again, we'll post this information so that you have access to it. So you have all these contacts should you need them. And then Mrs. Rail is our graduation coach, but she's also the counselor in charge of the virtual students and has all the counseling responsibilities for those particular students. So we're lucky to have them on board, and they're a huge asset as we move forward with supporting students in a virtual setting.
All right, I'm Mrs. Rail, and first I would like to apologize for the 8x10 glamour shot of me. I'm sorry that you had to see that, but I am really excited to work with your students as their counselor, and I am the person that is enrolling your student in classes and making changes if you're noticing that, you know, there's an issue with one of the classes they're placed in or anything like that, I am the person to call. So be sure, and you can contact us through the Remind feature, but it's probably easiest just to call us directly, call me directly or email me. Your student should be enrolled in 4 classes. And an advisement, you may not notice this on their Infinite Campus schedule. You'll see an advisement class, and that is a way that we can keep track of our virtual students and also send you messages and communicate with you. So you would see that on their Infinite Campus schedule, and then on their Edgenuity schedule is where you'll see their actual classes. So if there's an issue with that, be sure and contact me. I like to describe this as I'm kind of the scheduling person, the class person, making sure that your student is on track for graduation and in the appropriate classes. And then Mrs. Jacobson oversees our virtual academy that houses all of the classes on Edgenuity, and then the teachers that actually teach each course that your student is enrolled in. Of course, they're the teacher, and that's who you would want to contact with any specific issues for the course. The nice thing about this semester, I think that you'll really appreciate, all of this is housed here at East High School. So the teachers that are teaching are East High teachers. They teach in person and virtually, but they're East High School teachers. So Mrs. Jacobson and I and our administrators, we're all we're all part of East High. So I think the contact and the communication will be a lot better this semester. There should have been a welcome letter from each teacher that your student has, and so make sure you look for those. Again, I said you could utilize the remind feature to contact any of us, but you can also email the specific teacher or call or email Mrs. Jacobson or myself. Also, to access, probably most of you know this, but by now I hope, but to access the Edgenuity classes, your student needs to log into ClassLink, and from there they should see the Edgenuity icon and they can click on that and get to their classes. Also, the teachers should all have a Canvas page, and your student can also go there for resources.
Okay, my name is Maura Jacobson, and I run the T-Bird Academy within the walls of East High School, and I'm also running or helping run with Miss Rail and the principals here at East, the virtual school or the virtual academy. And so I just want to go over a little bit about the teacher availability and what it would look like now that we're at East. So teachers will respond to emails and other correspondence in one school day. So they're going to try to get back to you. Many of the teachers are also teaching in-person classes and have full schedules. And so not a lot of teachers have a designated time or something like that. They're going to try to get to it probably first things in the morning and then maybe after school or during the planning day. Students should schedule Zoom meetings with the teacher if they need live assistance. So if you're struggling in one of your classes, your student is, they're able to contact through email or a phone call to their teacher to set up a meeting so the teacher can go through material and things like that live via Zoom. Monday through Thursday, all tests, quizzes will be open or reset within 24 hours. Friday through Sunday, all tests or quizzes will be opened Monday by 8. So our teachers, a lot of them won't be looking at their email and different things like that or their Edgenuity over the weekend. So we just ask that students kind of prepare for that. So if they find that they're going to have a unit test or something like that that might be blocking their way during the weekend, that they ask their teachers on Thursday or Friday if they can bypass those and then reopen them on Monday so they can continue with their work through the weekend. The next slide here is about student expectations. So we want regular, consistent attendance. And this means that your students need to be working at least 5 to 7 hours per day, or at least an hour per day per course, to really stay on time to finish the courses. I believe March 26th is our deadline for this semester. So it's very important. If your student will stay on track and just use their time every single day, then they won't get so far behind and it'll be easier to just move through the courses. If your student does fall behind, you will be contacted by their teacher and set up a meeting or something like that to see what we can do to get your student back on track. We want to make sure that they're meeting all of these requirements. If they aren't meeting these requirements, your student does have, could be dropped, and that would be something that we would need to then re-enroll them and go through all of the proper channels to do that. So we would really like to see them stay on top of their courses so it doesn't come to this. And then just, I think I mentioned, just manage your time. Don't wait till the last minute to request help or contact a teacher. Like something about Friday at 2:45, usually teachers are out the door. So to make sure that you contact them earlier in the day or the day before, you might need something.
Another thing to keep in mind that we've seen from some students is that they'll tell their parents that they've been logged into Edgenuity and working all day. And then when we look at their progress and their session information, we noticed that most of the time that they spent inside of Edgenuity was idle time. And so it's just really important for you to understand that idle time is just when the student is logged in but not actually working, and that idle time does not count toward their attendance or toward their course progress. So it's just one of those things we really want to reinforce with students, that when you sit down to log into your courses, be engaged, be actively working. Don't log in and then walk away, to do something else and then come back. Have a schedule, sit down, work on your courses, be actively engaged, and make sure that that helps you stay on progress and on track. So parents in a virtual setting play a really critical role in helping their students progress and in supporting their students, excuse me, in finishing their classes and in staying on track. And so Edgenuity actually has a short 3-minute video that talks about a lot of the ways that parents can be more involved and support their students. And so we'd like to share that video with you briefly here. And then we'll come back and chat some more and give everybody an opportunity to ask some questions.
You may be a parent of an elementary school student or a middle or high schooler. You may be a guardian or a grandparent helping a student, or you may even be some sort of caregiver supporting the student during their schoolwork. No matter what your title, you are an important part of your student's success this year. You may feel like a facilitator, a manager, a support provider, a monitor, or more. There are some specific ways you can get involved and increase your student's achievement. Now, your role can vary, but some general responsibilities for parents, guardians, and caregivers of students learning virtually tend to include the following. Set student work area and expectations. It sounds simple, but having a clear work area is one of the most important setup for success tasks. Students need a quiet area to work and stay organized during school time. Just as importantly, they need to know the expectations, such as having specific work and break time, ways to ask for help, and more. This will help them stay focused and be able to complete their work well and in a timely manner. Next, ensuring necessary technology. We need to make sure students have the proper tools for learning, and that means their technology is in proper working order. I can't tell you how many times I have to ask my kids if they have their computer charger each day. Again, simple but very critical. If you have any questions about device capability, Edgenuity has tech specs to help you. Managing student schedules. Students are used to school structure, and this is something they will rely on you at home to help them create and navigate. We will talk more specifically about this in a bit. Encourage balance of work time. We don't want kids to feel like they are always doing school. They need to balance their learning and non-learning times. This ties back into the schedule you can help them with. Setting and monitoring goals for students. Students sometimes have a hard time understanding what to do and when they need to do it. You can help them set attainable and measurable goals. Since you are overseeing their learning, monitoring their progress toward those goals is just as important. We will talk more about this one also. Awareness and attention to due dates. It is important for you to be aware of due dates just as it is for the student. If they have a big project that needs to be done by a certain day, you may want to put it on a shared calendar with the student and check in with them to make sure they're following the steps and not getting behind. Establishing a good channel of communication, whatever it is, with your student will help greatly. Support accommodations at home. If your student needs accommodations, you can assist at home. If that means making sure they have a calculator available, or even that the student is using the audio support for read-alouds. We recommend you work with a teacher to see which supports they can provide and which ones you will need to provide and help with at home. Ensure academic integrity. We take academic integrity very seriously at Edgenuity. Schools can do their part to enable some features, but it is critical that you reinforce this with your student at home. Communication with the teacher. Make sure you know how to contact the teacher when needed. If possible, the student can reach out to the teacher, but there will be times that you may want or need to also communicate with the teacher. These are all just some responsibilities that will help you in your role.
All right, we have a few other items we'd like to go through with you briefly, and then we'll open it up to questions and answers. So essentially, one of the main roles parents find is a good thing to do in order to make sure their kids stay on progress is to monitor them and see how they're doing. And so there's two big ways that parents can do that. The easiest way is to check their grades in Infinite Campus. So once a week, all the teachers at East High School that have virtual classes will post an updated in progress grade to Infinite Campus. And so if you're used to going to Infinite Campus to check grades because your student was previously in a brick and mortar school, this will seem like second nature to you because you're probably already familiar with the process. But that's a great way for you just to go in and see, is my student passing all their classes? Are they meeting my expectations as far as where they should be grade-wise? And kind of an overview of how they're doing in all of their courses that they're enrolled in. If you want more information, you can access that within Edgenuity, and it's a little bit of a process in order to get access to that. And some of the progress reports, it helps if somebody can kind of talk you through what's on the report and what it's telling you. So if you're interested in that detailed information, we would just ask that you reach out to Maura Jacobson, and she'd be happy to get you access to that and kind of talk to you about some of those features and what they mean. So we wanted to kind of give you a quick look. This is essentially what Infinite Campus would tell you. It's just an overview of all your students' courses and where they're currently at in that course. You'll get a percentage for that course, and then also you'll see a letter grade there as well. And so that's a great one-stop shop to get a good idea of where they're at. I'll let Maura talk a little bit more about the progress reports that you can see in Edgenuity.
Okay, so the progress report in Edgenuity, we've taken a clip that this is what the parents will see on their end. The actual grade over on the right-hand side or left, depending on how you're looking at this. The actual grade is the grade that will go into Infinite Campus every Friday. The actual grade takes into account if your student, how your student is progressing, and if they have incomplete assignments, it takes that into account. So if your student is on track and they are, let's see, if they're on track, the overall grade and the actual grade should be pretty close to each other. The relative grade is going to stay fairly low because it takes into consideration the entire course and all of the material within the course. And then, and also you're going to see on there, the complete count means that that's the amount of the course that has been completed at any given time. So we really want to focus on the actual grade at this time. The overall grade sometimes can give you a little bit of, they can be 7% in and have an 80%. As you can see here on this course report, they're 6% into the course completed, and all the material that they have done at that point has an 80% on it. So that can be a little bit fooling you a little bit. So we really want to get you guys to look at the actual grade. That gives you a little bit better understanding of where your student is on that particular day.
And a huge component to Edgenuity and how Edgenuity measures whether or not students have learned or not learned the material is quizzes and tests. And so We've had a lot of lessons learned in terms 1 and 2 regarding quizzes and tests. And we've really come up with a structure that we think supports students in retaking quizzes and retaking tests, and also figuring out when they need help and what they do in order to get that help. So we'll have Maura go through some of this briefly.
So with quizzes and tests, we have set everything at a 70%. So if your student is doing well and they're reaching goals of 70% or higher, they're going to move through the course with only getting stopped at unit tests and then cumulative exams. If your student is having trouble, they can go through 2 quizzes, and then if they don't pass those quizzes with a 70% or higher, then their teacher will be notified to be able to reset that quiz. And so sometimes there'll be remediation, meaning that they'll have to go back maybe and redo an assignment that they didn't do that great on. And then if they're still not really understanding the material, maybe set up a Zoom appointment with one of their teachers. And then at that point, they will have that quiz reset, because we really feel that they will do better on that quiz for the 3rd time. If they don't pass that quiz, they'll just take the highest grade of the 3 at that point. But we really hope with some remediation that your student will be successful when attempting the 3rd. So, and then all tests and cumulative exams will pretty much be taken into consideration the same exact way. And so, so when they get stopped for some reason, sometimes it just means they just need to go back and relook at some of the material to begin with. So I think that kind of sums that up.
Yeah, one of the things we found was that sometimes students would take a quiz and then they wouldn't do well on it, and they wanted to just immediately retake the quiz. And that was usually not a good use of their time, because when they retake the quiz doing that, they typically get a score that's pretty close to what they got the first time. So we really just wanted to make sure that students understand, if you take a quiz and you don't do well, you probably need to do some relearning and go back and look over some things, so that when you do get that 2nd or 3rd attempt, that you've gone back through and increased your skills and knowledge so you can perform better on that quiz. And we want students to succeed, and we want them to have multiple opportunities, but we also want them to be smart about things. And not just continue to retake a quiz quickly over and over and over again and get the same score.
I wanted to speak briefly about registration. Many of you probably have received some information and know that registration is happening now here at East High School and for the district. We had a little bit of a glitch, and virtual students were trying to register for virtual classes for next year, and those classes were not open until today. And so so some of you may have noticed that they are now open. And so what we're recommending, we don't know for sure what next year is going to look like. We don't know for sure that there will be a virtual option. We're not sure if we'll do a 4x4 schedule or what that's going to look like. So this is what we're telling folks. If you are interested in registering for virtual school and assuming that we will have the virtual option next year, then go ahead and choose your classes in the virtual class that you want to take. And those classes will be identified with a V in front of the course number. If you are planning on returning to live to East High next year, then just register for the course, the regular course. If you're unsure, then I would suggest maybe just choosing the regular course that you need. The biggest thing is, don't panic and feel like you have to have it just right or you won't be enrolled in the right classes. There is plenty of opportunity for us to make changes, and we will make changes. This just gives us an idea about numbers and staffing, and so it's really important that you do it, but it is not critical that it's perfect. And so I just want to stress that too. I've gotten lots of calls and questions about that. So just know that it's just a lot of information for us and it's important, but it just is not going to be critical that you know exactly what you're doing at this moment. And if you have questions, please contact me, call or send an email, and I'm happy to help.
We're gonna be diligent about posting the information that we discussed tonight on the East High School website. Some of it's already there, some of it will be posted in this evening or in the coming day. But we really encourage families to go to the website in order to look for information because it has a wealth of information and a lot of times you can find exactly what you need there. At this time, we'd like to open it up to questions and answers. And so I think everybody has the ability to unmute themselves. And so if you have a question and you'd like to unmute yourself and ask it, we welcome that. If you'd be more comfortable typing your question in the chat screen, we'll monitor the chat as well. And we'd just like to hear from some people and answer some questions.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Tammy Wilson. I'm a guardian for Timothy Zacharias. I'm wondering about sports and if Timothy chooses to go back to live school next the third quarter or the last quarter of this semester, is that possible, or can he do track and still be in the virtual academy?
Yes, Timothy can be in the virtual academy and still participate in activities and athletics at East High School.
Other questions at this time?
Okay, if there's no other questions at this time, I want to take this opportunity, number one, to thank all of you who joined us this evening. And I also want to take this chance, this opportunity right now to thank Mr. Kirchner, Mrs. Jacobson, Mrs. Rail, and also Mrs. Buell for taking the time to learn Edgenuity and learn about the program so that we can best support our students as we move forward and give them the strongest amount of support to be as successful as possible. So I'd like to thank all of them for their hard work, and we look forward to working with all the students and all the parents as we move forward this semester. If you have any questions or concerns, as everybody has said here this evening, please contact East High School. You can email any of the principals. We're willing to help out and give the information, and if not, we'll get it to Mrs. Rail, Mrs. Jacobson, and Mrs. Buell so that they can help in any situation. Anybody have anything else?
No.
I don't think so.
Again, thank you so much for being with us this evening and have a great rest of the evening.